Good morning, students. I am here to present a video lesson on the chapter Silk Road, which is the last chapter of your book Hornbill. Please have a look at these images. What do you see here? You see a desert, a mountain, a rock, and an ocean. Why do you think people undertake such difficult journeys? Isn't it for thrill, adventure, scientific research, or discovery? What do they encounter during their travels to such inaccessible places? Dangers and difficulties lurk at every step. Isn't it so? What are those human qualities that help them survive and emerge successful in their ventures? Isn't it their optimism, their perseverance, persistence? Well, children, today we are going to discuss the travelogue Silk Road written by Nick Middleton. Before we proceed, I would like to enlighten you about the author Nick Middleton. Nick Middleton was born in London in 1960. He is an award-winning British physical geographer and supernumerary fellow of St. Anne's College, Oxford. He specializes in desertification. As a geographer, he has traveled to more than 70 countries of the world. He is also a writer, TV presenter, environmentalist scientist, and university lecturer. He has written many a travelogue. All his books have been presented as adventure series on the National Geographic Channel. He has also written Extremes Along the Silk Road, Adventures of the World Superhighway, from which perhaps this lesson, Silk Road, has been taken. As the title of this travelogue is Silk Road, it is imperative to know something about the Silk Road. Dear students, have you ever heard of the Silk Road? Do you think it still exists? Well, the Silk Road primarily refers to the land routes connecting East Asia and Southeast Asia with South Asia, Persia, the Arabian Peninsula, East Africa, and Southern Europe. Please have a look at the map. Here you can see the route of the famous ancient route Silk Road. The Silk Road derives its name from the lucrative trade in silk carried out along its length, beginning in the Han Dynasty in China. The Silk Road trade played a very significant role in the development of the civilizations of China, Japan, Korea, the Indian subcontinent, Iran, Europe, Africa, and Arabia, opening long-distance political and economic relations between the civilizations. The silk was the main trade item exported from China. Many other goods and ideas were also exchanged, including religions, especially Buddhism. So, I hope you have some idea about the Silk Road. You can explore it further on the net. In this travelogue, Silk Road, the narrator Nick Middleton describes his journey to Mount Kailash, one of the most sacred Hindu pilgrimage sites venerated by the Buddhists and the Jains. Have you ever heard about a journey, a pilgrimage to Kailash Mansarovar? Do you know where it is located? Here, the purpose of the writer is to do the Kora, which means perambulation of the sacred mountain. As regards the location of Mount Kailash, it is located in the Tibet Autonomous Region occupied by China. It is an ancient Indian part of a country, as in ancient times a country was spread across Afghanistan and China. According to Hindu mythology, it is the abode of Lord Shiva with his consort Parvati and his sons Ganesh and Kartikeya. According to ancient Hindu and Buddhist cosmology, it is also the source of the origin of four great Indian rivers, the Indus, the Ganges, the Satluj, and the Brahmaputra. To this day, Kailash mountain remains unclimbable, though it is 2000 feet lower than Mount Everest. It's time for me to tell you about the characters in this travelogue. When the narrator lands in Ravu, he meets the following Tibetan youth. Lamo is a young Tibetan girl who gifts him a beautiful sheepskin coat to ward off chilly cold. Sitan is a Drogba, which means a shepherd in Tibetan language, who owns a car and is hired by the narrator. Daniel is another Tibetan youth who knows English well and offers to accompany the author to act as his guide. It is the hospitality of these Tibetan people, their warmth and friendliness, that impresses and overwhelms the narrator immeasurably. Now, let me tell you the themes that the narrator has tried to explore through this travelogue. First of all, he here describes his Kora, his pilgrimage to Mount Kailash. He also exposes the readers the local Tibetan people, their occupations, their lifestyle, culture, and religious traditions. Here, we also come to know how environmental degradation is not just confined to our cities and towns. It has badly impacted our hilly areas, particularly those mountainous regions where we have many of our famous temples located. Lastly, he emphasizes the importance of positive thinking. When we go to any place, we don't just come to know about its geographical features, we also see many enchanting sights en route. When they set out on their journey, Sitan takes a direct short route to Mount Kailash. In the vast arid plains that follow, he sees gazelles nibbling the arid pastures and a herd of great wild ass called Kyang in Tibetan, galloping in perfect coordination and synchronization with each other. Seeing their wonderful maneuvers, the narrator is highly amazed and impressed. He also observes solitary Drogbas tending their sheep and waving at him with a friendly gesture. After some time, they pass nomads' tents guarded by Tibetan mastiffs who explode into action seeing them. Dear students, please have a look at the dogs that you see in the picture. What is their color? Of course, black. They are Tibetan mastiffs. They are black, ferocious dogs with massive jaws, imported to China from Tibet along the Silk Road in ancient times. They were very popular in the imperial courts of China. They were excellent watch and hunting dogs. Most of the Tibetan people lead a nomadic life and live in tents, and the tents are guarded by Tibetan mastiffs. Any journey to a difficult place, to a difficult terrain, is bound to be fraught with dangers and difficulties. The narrator also encounters many dangers and difficulties on his way to Mount Kailash. Can you tell me what those difficulties might be? Well, the narrator sees snow-capped mountains looming on the horizon. The river they were traveling along was clogged with ice. The trail twisted with meanders as they gradually gained height. The turns became sharper and the ride bumpier. The slopes became steeper with big rocks. The trail was covered with snow, making driving difficult and risky. It is at such a dismal scenario that Sithan asks the narrator and Daniel to get off the vehicle. He then picks up handfuls of dirt to make the track rough. He manages to drive it a bit when he notices another blockage. He decides to drive around the snow and negotiates it well, as he proves himself to be a very cautious and expert driver. There is one old saying, when in Rome, do as Romans do. The narrator, Nick Middleton, has travelled to more than 70 countries of the world, where he must have been exposed to different cultures and religious traditions. He is a very liberal human being. He follows the customs and traditions of the place which he visits. When they finally reach the top of the pass at 5,550 meters, they observe a large cairn of rocks festooned with white silk scarves and prayer flags. Have you seen these flags? In which part of the country do we see these flags? It is, of course, in the northeastern region, Assam, Manipur, Arunachal Pradesh, etc., where people follow Buddhism. You can see these flags outside their homes, the monasteries, across the rivers, valleys, hills, etc. Following the local tradition, the narrator perambulates the cairn in a clockwise direction. When they go down the other side of the pass, they observe salt lakes and brackish lakes, in which men with pickaxes and shovels were trudging forth in their sheepskin coats and salt-encrusted boots, with their eyes well protected with sunglasses. As I told you a while ago, ecological degradation is not just confined to our cities and towns. It has badly spread in our mountainous regions also because of fast industrialization and urbanization. Another reason for the increasing environmental pollution in hilly areas is the influx of tourists. When the narrator reaches the town of Hor, which was just a few kilometers away from the sacred Mount Kailash, he is appalled to see it. This town is located on the main east-west highway that follows the old trade route from Lhasa to Kashmir. He finds that it was a grim, miserable place without any vegetation, full of dust and rocks, scattered with years of accumulated refuse. Please have a look at these two pictures. One picture is that of refuse, garbage, rubbish. Another is that of rubble. A town so near Kailash Mansarovar and yet so polluted. What an irony. Having read the accounts of earlier travelers who had so beautifully described the place, he finds it difficult to believe its pathetic condition at present. He remembers Ikai Kawaguchi, a Japanese monk, and Swin Hayden, a Swede who had gone into raptures seeing the hallowed waters. Dear students, how many of you have been to hilly areas? How many of you have had a holiday in mountainous regions like Nainital, Darjeeling, Shimla, etc.? If you have gone to these places from hot plains in winter season, particularly when it's the time for snowing, you must have faced some health problems. The narrator also suffers a lot of physical discomfort when he is on his way to Mount Kailash. He is afflicted with severe cough and cold. One of his nostrils is blocked, making it very, very difficult for him to breathe. He is then forced to breathe from his mouth. Whenever he lies down to sleep, he feels so restless that he is not able to, fearing that if he goes to sleep now, he may not get up the next morning. Thus, he undergoes a lot of physical discomfort. He then is taken to Darchin Medical College by Seaton. Dear students, what are the medicines given to you when you suffer from cough and cold? Do you take allopathic medicines or some herbal medicines or traditional medicines which are always given to you by your grandmother or grandparents? Well, the narrator also is advised to take the traditional Tibetan medicine, and he agrees to do so. Though these Tibetan traditional medicines, which are mostly herbal, prove to be very effective and cure him of his cough and cold. When Seaton sees that the narrator has recovered from his cough and cold and is feeling better, he decides to leave for Lhasa from Darchin. Dear students, can you tell me the name of the town that he saw before he reached Darchin, and how did he react on seeing that town? After Hor, he reaches Darchin. He feels some relief because he finds Darchin a bit better than Hor. However, here also he finds a lot of rubble and refuse. He sees some rudimentary general stores selling Chinese goods and prayer flags. He is disappointed to find no pilgrims here as it was the off-season. The narrator is now without Seaton, and Daniel has also left. Nobody knows English well in Darchin, so he is faced with a very serious communication problem. It is in such a scenario, it is at such a juncture that God helps him by sending a companion. Who is this companion whom he meets in Darchin? It is Norbu, a Tibetan youth, whom the narrator meets at a Darchin cafe. The narrator is very happy to discover that Norbu too was going to do the Mount Kora. Norbu interacts him like a friend and tells him that though he had been writing academic papers about the Kailash Kora and its importance in various works of Buddhist literature for many years, he had never actually done it. He gladly offers to be his companion for the Kailash Kora. Dear students, we are always told the importance of self-help and positive thinking. The narrator Nick Middleton very strongly believes in the power of positive thinking. And this strategy of positive thinking works very well in his case. When he is left alone without Seaton and Daniel and faces communication problem, he comes across Norbu, who knows English well and is also going for the Kora. His successful treatment at Darchin Medical College is another offshoot of his positive thinking. Thus, it is because of his positive thinking only that he is able to do the Kailash Kora. Now it's time for us to conclude. What is the message which the writer is trying to convey through this travelogue? Well, the writer here exhorts us all to visit new places, meet new people, and learn about their culture and their traditions. Apart from this, when we go to any area, to any region, be it in the plains or the mountains, we also are exposed to their cuisine, dresses, local festivals, languages they speak in, the way they get married to each other, and many other such things which give us a deep insight into their life and occupations. Next, he wants to emphasize the power of positive thinking. He exhorts us all to be always full of optimism. It's only then that we can sustain ourselves in the direst of circumstances and emerge successful in our ventures and missions. I hope all of you have followed this lesson, the contents of this lesson, which I have dealt with briefly in this video. I have prepared notes also for you, which will be sent to you in a PDF. Go through the Silk Road, pay attention to the beautiful words and phrases used by the narrator here. I feel the vocabulary of this travelogue is really remarkable. So please pay special attention to the words and phrases used by the narrator here. And after that, solve the exercises that I have prepared. Thank you all very much.